It just turned 2025 like a month ago, I think, right? We're in 2025. Just making sure. You never know. Could be AI. And it turned 2025, and as soon as 2025 started, all my friends were sending me memes and videos about how 2025 is a special number. Did any of you see these things? And it was like, I kept getting the same one over and over. My friend called me up. She's like, Sammy, you would love this. 2025 is a crazy number. I'm like, why? She's like, because it's just crazy. I'm like, that's good. You don't have to say more. I'm like, why is it a crazy number? She's like, because it has all these crazy mathematical properties. I'm like, it's called a number. Numbers have properties. She's like, yeah, but did you know that 2025 is a square? I'm like, yes, some numbers are squared. That's something that happens from time to time. She's like, yeah, but it's a perfect square. I'm like, that means it's a square. So, basically the same thing. I would know because I'm a square and I'm perfect. So, thank you. You're too kind. You know, and I was like, I mean, these are all cool, but like numbers have properties. I'm like, did you know that 2024 is divisible by 2? And she's like, really? I'm like, see, you're just easily informed. That's the problem. She's like, but don't you think it's cool? It's 45 squared. Like 45 squared. What does that even mean? I'm like, it means like it's 45 times 45. That's what it means. She's like, but there's got to be like some significance. I'm like, I'm not a astrologer, man. I'm a guy who likes math. She's like, but 45 squared, got to mean something. I'm like, I don't know. Maybe it's like having the 45th of something and then having it again for some reason. I can't think of anything that would possibly relate to. Yeah, math brings the truth sometimes. I'm sure there's some smartass there like, actually, he's 47th now. Fine, then I'll come back and see you in 45 times 47, which is 2115. You're 2115. This joke will make sense. But to be honest, I really have been enjoying MAGA so far. Men arguing over government authority. That's what it stands for. Yeah, it's a lot of arguing. Elon is in the lead right now. President Elon, or if you want to call him Chancellor, I guess you could call him Chancellor. The dude did a Nazi salute, like straight up. That was a Nazi salute, and this has been verified by Nazis. And I'm going to listen to the Nazis on this one. That's not something I say very often. But on this one, I'm going to listen to the Nazis. Now, why he did it, I don't know if he was dog whistling. I don't know if he made a bet with somebody. I don't know what it was, but there's all this weird speculation. Like some people say he full on did a Nazi salute because he's a Nazi. Some people say he's just on the spectrum, you know, which is fair. I think he's both. I mean, I think he's on the Nazi spectrum. I think that's what it is. There is such thing as a Nazi spectrum. And the truth is we're all on it. It doesn't matter. There's two extremes. You're either zero Nazi, okay? Or I don't know which way you guys see this. You're zero Nazi, and then that goes all the way to proud Nazi, okay? And then all the way to full-blown Hitler, you know what I mean? But there's a big distance from point A to point B, and also from point B to point C, you know what I mean? And Elon, he's not A. We for sure know he's not zero Nazi. He's not A. He may or may not be B. I don't know, okay? But I don't think he's quite C, okay? So you could say he's a Nazi. Okay. Thank you. Yeah, I don't know. But it's been interesting watching, you know, Elon's transition into power, you know, with Doge, Department of Gestures excused. Because, you know, everyone gave him a pass on that, like the ADL, the Anti-Defamation League. They should just change their name to Defamation League because they just talk about people, but gave Elon the pass because he's not a peaceful college protester. So, but yeah, it has been interesting to watch because Elon, you know, he for sure is pulling the strings behind everything because Trump has changed his position on a bunch of things already, and you can see the Elon influence. You know, like for instance, when it came to the H-1B visas situation, I don't know how you spent your Christmas, but I spent it watching men arguing over government authority. Because Trump has a lot of sound bites that are not too old that show him specifically saying he did not like H-1B visas. Like they're like, the H-1Bs are corrupt, we're gonna get rid of the system. And then all Elon does is like, you know, whisper in his ear a little bit, like tweet, 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 or XXXXXX or whatever. And then Trump changed his whole position. Like, he was like, I don't like the H1s. And it was like, suddenly he was like, oh, I love the H1s. I have a lot of H1s on my property. I got the H1N1s. I got the bird flu. I got the HVAC. I got the Preparation H. The HIV. The Triple H. All the H's. Where are all these H's coming from? They're leaving their words. They're crossing over the border. They're leaving their words. It's a huge problem. You notice Trump he never pronounces H because he's always miming it with his hands. He's like, it's huge, it's huge. But yeah, Trump totally flipped on that, after Elon, said his thing. And then Vivek Ramaswamy also too. Vivek got kicked out of Doge. That was kind of dope. Because Vivek got kicked out of Doge because he made too long of a tweet, basically, is what happened. I don't know if you guys know Vivek Ramaswamy, but he's, South Asian representation in politics. Listen, to be fair, Vivek does say a bunch of things that I do like, and he also says some things that are just great for comedy, so it works for me. I just wish that he wore sandals because he flip-flops so much. That wasn't racial, so relax, it could have been. But... So Vivek also has recent sound bites where he was like, I don't like H-1Bs, we're going to get rid of it. And then, Elon whispers in his ear, XXXXX. And then Vivek puts out like a 3-page long Twitter post on basically saying that Americans are lazy and we celebrate mediocrity, which I would have been offended as an American, but I only read half of it. This post was too long, but it was a very out-of-touch post. If you saw it, it was really hilarious, because he opens it by saying, all right, it all comes down to the C word. Culture! Like, leave the jokes to the C words, Vivek, okay? And then he says, in our society, we celebrate the jock and not the math Olympiad, which I took a little personally. I'm like, come on, man, people are coming to the shows. And then he's like, it's because our kids are spending too much time just chilling at the mall. I'm like, who's chilling at the mall in 2025? This isn't the 90s anymore, bro. And then he starts making references. He's like, because we celebrate Zach and Slater from Saved by the Bell. I'm like, who's reading this? I swear to God, the best part when he's like, it's because we put too much focus on Corey from Boy Meets World. I'm like, you talking to millennials and Gen X exclusively at this point? Like, I don't think most people get that reference. Like, Gen Z for sure did not watch Boy Meets World. Gen Z has not even met World. You know what I mean? Like, and they prefer not to identify as boy. Like, Gen Z, like if Gen Z had a show, it would be They Have Not Met World. You know? But it was just this very long-winded, weird post. But the thing is, when I read the first half, I was like, I don't disagree with this, because yes, there are a lot of hardworking American people, right? Yeah. Okay. See, 3 of them, right? We have 3 of them here, right? So you know who you are if you're a hardworking American, all right? But when you compare ourselves to other really hardworking nations, we don't actually cut it. You know what I mean? Like, if you think you're hardworking as an American, make a friend in China, okay? Like, you're not hardworking, all right? Get on Red Note tonight, okay? Get on Xiaohongshu and make a friend. You guys know Red Note? You guys not on Red Note? Okay. Okay, good. See? You're making hardworking friends. Good. And make a friend in China, and you'll see that they work very hard. Like, if you want to talk about the C word, okay? I think it's because Americans, we too often compare ourselves to Canadians and Europeans. You know what I mean? And Europeans don't really work that hard. They're completely closed on Sundays. Like, go try to order food in Europe on a Sunday. They'd be like, we're closed. You'd be like, are you religious? No, we're closed. And Canadians, bless you, but you work like quarter-day shifts and get free healthcare. You know what I mean? Like, if you have a Canadian friend, text them right now. Be like, are you working? They'll be like, sorry, no. You know what I mean? Like, Canadians don't work as much, let's face it. Like, even the best job in Canada, even like the highest, even like if you're like the dictator of Canada, even that person's like, I don't want to do this anymore. You know what I mean? That's funny because it's Trudeau. I mean, Yeah, like, I guess in the United States, we do have a work ethic issue. I mean, it's most exemplified in New Year's resolutions, you know? Right? Every year we make New Year's resolutions and we don't follow through. And on December 31st, everyone has a New Year's resolution. January 2nd, it's gone. You don't even remember what it was. Case in point, New Year's Day this year, January 1st, there was 2 terrorist attacks. And then after that, nothing. Like, everybody just gave up on their plans. Bad example, I'm just saying. Like, even ISIS gives up. You know what I mean? Like, yeah, I don't know if you guys remember, there were 2 terrorist attacks on January 1st, and they were both terrorist attacks. And the reason I say this is because I have consistent logic. Okay? I don't know if you know this, on January 1st, a man plowed his car into a crowd in New Orleans, killing people. And then also the same day, a man pulled up his Tesla Cybertruck to Trump Hotel in Vegas and exploded it in front of people. These are both terror attacks because a person is using their vehicle to inflict harm on other people. However, the FBI is certain that the one in New Orleans is terrorism, but they're still not sure about the Vegas one. Now, if I could pull you up a picture of the suspects, maybe you could help me figure out why there might be some flagrant reason why they would suggest that one is clearly terrorism and one is not. The Vegas guy was white. I didn't mean to, sorry, spoiler alert, the Vegas guy was white, okay? The FBI thinks it may have been mental health. So, yes, the New Orleans guy had an ISIS flag, but who doesn't nowadays? You know what I mean? Okay? Both of them used their vehicle to inflict harm. The guy in Vegas exploded his vehicle. And they're like, it must be mental health. You know what I mean? It's like, for real, like the guy in New Orleans, he had 3 divorces in the last few years. 3! You're not going to give him 1 mental health shout out? Like, I'm not defending that guy, but if you're going to say mental health, like, apply it equally. You know what I mean? The crazy thing is both of those guys rented those cars. They were both rentals. And they were both rented from the app Turo. Yeah, so at least we know it's Turoism for sure. We can say that. So it was an act of Turo. But, you know, it just sucks that people didn't call out that double standard. And the left didn't help on this one. The left did not help because they're like, well, it's a Trump hotel. It's fine. You know what I mean? It's like, no. Like, call it out. That's both terrorism. And, of course, because the guy in Vegas used a Tesla Cybertruck, Elon had to say something. Now, Elon's very good at calming things down on Twitter. By the way, when the H-1B thing happened, Elon is obviously a big fan of H-1Bs. And so when MAGA was arguing about H-1Bs, Elon made a tweet basically saying, he was like, I love H-1Bs. I'm here because of an H-1B, which I don't think is true. But then he's like, and I use H-1Bs. So if you have a problem with this, take a big step back and yourself in the face. This is the President of the United States talking. You understand? This is not presidential language. He told everyone to take a big step back and themselves in the face. And at first I was like, well, that's a really hard quote you pulled out. Then I actually looked it up. It's actually a movie quote. Take a big step back and yourself in the face is a quote from Tropic Thunder, 2008. He quoted a Ben Stiller movie. Which is so ironic because if you know about Tropic Thunder, 2008, maybe not the best year to talk about the economy, but Tropic Thunder, the plot was Ben Stiller and some other actors, they were playing actors who played soldiers in a war movie. And their director wants them to do a better job, so he drops them off in an actual war zone in the jungle so they can get real method, And so they're surprised, obviously, and now they're suddenly submerged in a real war, but they're just actors. Which is, I find it very ironic that Elon is using that quote because he's suddenly new to politics. He's like, I make Teslas, but now I'm ruler of the world. Like, okay, fuck yourself in the face. Thanks, Elon. And so he says that. And then, so after the Tesla Cybertruck thing, he comes out and we're like, what is Elon going to say? He's going to tell us to fuck ourselves in the face, isn't he? And he comes out and he's like, the knucklehead chose the worst vehicle to do a terror attack in. Everybody knows a Cybertruck would contain the explosion, and if anything, direct it upward. And everybody was like, damn. We haven't seen that kind of CEO energy before. Like, to be honest, like, people were very upset about that thing. Like, wow, I can't believe he said that. Like, I can. Like, it's very it's definitely better than yourself in the face. Also, like, I think that CEOs should defend their products like that. You know what I mean? But, like, we just have never seen that kind of being forthright, Like, can you imagine if after 9/11, the CEO of Boeing, just came out on, like, not Twitter at the time, because I don't know, AOL chat, I guess. And just came out and was like, the 757 is the worst aircraft to fly into a building. You kidding me? It explodes on impact. What a bad idea. It's flimsy. It's flimsy. It's bad. It's going to crash. I was in one the other day. It's a bad idea. You're going to find out about this in like 20 years. Don't worry. It's a bad idea. Or like after the Boston Marathon bombing, the mayor of Boston was like, the Boston Marathon's the worst marathon to bomb. The runners don't even want to be here. You know? Or like if after the Benghazi attacks, the then Secretary of State was like, the U.S. Embassy is the worst place to attack in Benghazi. I don't even check my emails. All right, if you don't like that one, I'll delete it. I'll put it on a different server. You'll never find it. But yeah, it's been interesting. I don't have jokes for everything just yet. Like I'm catching up on like the RFK hearings and the Tulsi Gabbard hearing. And the thing is, you know, I watch everything with nuance. I don't like, I blanketly side with the left or the right. I don't do none of that shit. I like to watch with nuance and like do the mathematics. You know what I mean? Because when it comes to RFK, I do agree that America has a health problem and that Big Pharma is a big problem. But like, why is it the guy with brainworms who has to tell us that? You know what I mean? Like how bad is America that the brainworms guy is giving us a lecture on how to be healthy? You know what I mean? Because watching RFK, I mean, to be honest, it's difficult to listen to him. Like, you know, like no slide, obviously he's been through a lot, but it's like if you had no idea, if you knew nothing about, if you like knew the basics about the Kennedys, you'd be like, oh, he's the one who got shot in the head. Like you would have no... What I don't get is that he's made very clear statements about how he feels about the vaccine, and he's totally backpedaling now at the hearings. It's like, dude, if you believe it, just say it. Like we'll never have a real conversation about these things unless you just say it. You know what I mean? Like, you know, they were grilling him hard. Like Bernie Sanders was like, did you wear the onesie? I don't know if you saw that, but like, RFK was part of a company that made onesies for kids that like were basically telling them to not trust the vaccine. You know, he's like, did you make this onesie that said Fauci lied, people died, or whatever it was? And it was just very intense. And then, but he kind of backpedaled the whole thing. So I was just like, all right, this is going nowhere. It's just like, I need people to like say definitive things so I can make good jokes. You know what I mean? So this was not a good week for that. Oh, actually, no, there was something good. Did you guys hear about the Gaza condom situation? Yeah. So a few days ago, the Trump administration put out a statement that said under Biden, $50 million of condoms were sent to Gaza. Okay, which is a wild statement to make. Okay. Now, at first glance, you're like, okay, this sounds like something Biden would have done mistakenly. You know what I mean? Like, people do have to check his work. You know what I mean? You could see that conversation with Netanyahu. Netanyahu's like, yeah, there's no, what did Netanyahu said? There's no innocent Gaza. And then Biden's like, condoms. Like, what? Give them all condoms. But the Trump administration made this statement that $50 million of condoms were sent to Gaza, and there's no evidence to back that statement. There's been no proof to suggest that statement happened. There's speculation, and this sounds much more likely, that the condoms were sent to Gaza, which is a province or a region in Mozambique. Where they actually do send aid already. So that actually might make sense. That they were sending it to Gaza, Mozambique, and then the Trump administration didn't just check the geography on that. You know what I mean? Which is kind of an important note before you just go out there and say it. But it's not like America would know the difference. You know what I mean? You tell Americans, you're like, we gave condoms to Gaza. They're like, Gaza? Where's that? They're like, you haven't been, you haven't been watching the news the last 2 years? Like, oh yeah, that place. And like, well, actually it was in Mozambique. Like, is that inside of Gaza? Like, okay, well... So it's not like explaining geography to Americans would help this, but yeah, I think that sounds more like, because at first glance to me, when I heard they sent $50 million of condoms to Gaza, my first thought was like, yo, trust me, I know Palestinians do not use condoms, okay? Like, trust me, right? Trust me. Trust me. We prefer, listen, Palestinians do not use condoms. Look at their population growth. That is not something you get with the use of condoms. Gazans need to multiply. That is their strategy to counter genocide, okay? Okay? Condoms or contraceptives are another form of genocide for Palestinians. You have to watch out. Yeah. If anything, Israel wants them to have the condoms. Israel's like, yes, give them $50 million worth of condoms. The administration started putting out these statements that, the $50 million worth of condoms went to Gaza and then Hamas used them for weapons. Basically saying Hamas was making condom balloons to launch at Israel. That's like kind of a bold statement. Trump probably said it. He's like, Hamas, they're using the birth control pills, they're using the condom, the IUDs. It's a whole artillery. It's called Plan B. But it's like, you know what? Call me old-fashioned. I think the whole Israel-Palestine situation could be solved if the Israeli occupation just pulled out. Trust me, that never fails. Tried and true. Your grandparents used it.